Hi there. Again, it's day 2 of the Special Libraries Conference here in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. Today, right now, I have Amy Burke with us. Amy is the Executive Director of the Special Libraries Association. So that means that she works with and sort of manages the professional staff that works every day in SLA headquarters to make the association and help it move to where it needs to be and where it's going to be in the future. So Amy, tell me a little bit about the planning for this conference, and it's been a great conference so far. A lot of great sessions, a lot of great insights and learning. How long? What sort of a timeline do you have when you're working on a conference like this? What's the timeline? Like, are you going to be starting to work on this on 2020 on the day after this closes, or how does that all work?
Yeah, sure. So we are. We'll begin real planning right after this.
Okay.
I'm already thinking of the next one, which is in Charlotte, June 6th through the 9th, 2020. And
it's earlier.
Yes, it's earlier. Yes. Those dates depend on what's availability in terms of the hotels and the convention center. Mm-hmm. That is usually booked about 2 years out. So you would say that planning starts then. But I'm saying a year out really happens with the content, right? And thinking about what kind of program, the schedule. How did the schedule work this year?
Okay.
And so here we are working with our Carolinas chapters of SLA, North Carolina and South Carolina. Those chapters merged a year ago, I think. Mm-hmm. We're working with the Carolinas chapter, so they help with local. They also help with our give back. So here in Cleveland, we are making donations to Seeds of Literacy. So any member can make a donation, and SLA is going to match up into $1,000. So for next year,
how do you make that donation? How do you go about making that donation if a person wants to make the donation?
Yeah, great question. So you can make it at registration, as easy as that. I think there are also some boxes that you could put cash in.
Okay, great.
So if you just wanted to throw a couple dollars in or 20, we'll take whatever it is. We just want to get a match and to give back to Cleveland. It's really important to us. And we'll do that in the Carolinas as well.
Right.
They'll help us with venues. They might go on the site visit. And then in addition to that, we have the 2020 Annual Conference Advisory Council. And they had a meeting actually prior. So they already started their work. And they met here at the conference. And that is really key because the Advisory Council is like leading it. They are saying, looking at the evaluation, we need to be doing more of this. They are also working with all of our units, our communities. They have meeting planners that plan events here at the conference. So they're the liaison to them. So it's really multifaceted. We've got the local group with the Carolinas. Then we move on to the Advisory Council, which is working on the content and the overall schedule and the flow. And then we have the unit planners, an extension of that. So it's really wide encompassing. And then when you think of, we have contributed papers and the industry partners, certainly the exhibit hall. Here in Cleveland today, we started our rebooking. So industry partners can rebook, we call it, meaning they can book for Charlotte while they're here.
Do you have
ensuring they get the best booth.
Do you have any insights as to how that's been going so far? What's the word?
It's very positive from my team.
Okay,
and we are further along than we thought we were
going
to be today.
That's great. One of the things that I think is going to be a major buzz for the association, both now and going forward, is the revisioning, the rebranding, the refocusing, as Hal talked about in this morning's keynote. How do you see the role of your role helping to move that forward, and how do you see things happening in the staff to support that?
It's really important that we are collaborators and partners, and you might say those are buzzwords. What does that really mean? Well, what that means is we have a seat at the table, and that we are contributing and we are offering our feedback just as members our boards are, and we're just as respected and valued for our insight and our input. My expertise is in association management. Overall, my team has expertise in how to run an exhibit hall, right? What's the best learning? What are the trends out there? And we can bring that value to the conversation. What's going on out there that maybe we should be implementing? And we really looked at that because we already had to have the floor plan done for next year, for example. Well, I was like, what trends are out there? What should we be doing? I don't want to just do the same old just because that's easy or that's what we want to do. I want to do what's best for the time, listen to feedback, and go forward. So one change for 2020 we're making is we're going to have on the floor a solution showcase, I think, or maybe a technology solution showcase, where anyone, not just the exhibitors, anyone could showcase what they're doing, something cool. It doesn't need to be an hour presentation. It could be 20 minutes, So trying to offer different learning vehicles. Some people like 90 minutes, some people want the bite size, the 20 minutes, or maybe even 5 minutes.
Right.
So we'll be experimenting a little bit with that going forward. So I think, to go back to your question, is we're part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening, we're collecting feedback, and we are providing what's going on in the industry, the trends, the best practices, and how we can do it efficiently and effectively, you know?
I think it's so important for the membership to understand it, because it's not just a question of, we send dues money in at a particular time of the year when our dues come up, and then you folks in the headquarters just, all you do is answer the phone, open the check, and cash the check, and that's it. You're really acting as a collaborative partner with the elected board and those individuals who are bringing their gifts and skills to the association as volunteers to really help move the association forward. And your value add, as we would say, is having seen how it's done in many different types of professional societies. And so we can then, as the Special Libraries Association, we can then take the best of breed from those experiences, bring them in, internalize them, and then you have the expertise to make those things a reality, because it's tough on we have a volunteer elected board, volunteer elected officers. They still have to earn a living and pay. Oh no, thanks, not at this moment, thanks. They still have to have a regular job, a straight job, and earn a living. This is what you do day to day.
Yeah, this is what we do day to day, and I think an example of that, you have the button on. Actually, I don't know if the viewers can see it. This one, the DICE. Hold it up. So DICE is one of our newest caucuses, stands for Diversity, Inclusion, Community, Equity. Mm-hmm. And they said, we want this to be inclusive. So how do we fit? Because in the current structure, you have to pay for caucuses. Mm-hmm. We're not a chapter, we're not geographic, we're not necessarily want to be the division because we don't want to deal with finances yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, then you can be a caucus, but we'll open it up to everybody. We don't have to follow the same things, And so bringing that perspective, or we want to, we would like to have, I don't know, the sky's the limit, like a stage on Main Street and have live music. How do you go about doing that? All right, we'll do it. Great idea. What can we do? Or the postcards today from the keynote. If people turn in the postcards, SLA is going to pay for the postage and mail them in, and books are going to go to underprivileged children.
Right.
Wouldn't that be awesome if we had 1,000 of those postcards turned in? That would probably mean some people wrote them twice. We have over 1,200 people here, but not everyone's going to turn the postcard. But if people turn in twice, so what? We're giving books to individuals.
Right.
we're solving that. Otherwise, how many do you think would get mailed if people took those home with them and they had to get a stamp? Amongst the 10,000 other things we have to do at home. Yeah, so I think these are little things I'm bringing up, but there's also bigger things, we talked a lot about unit restructure. When we get what are other organizations doing and what was their success and what was their impact, and tell that story, for me to be able to tell that story and to give examples where other associations have gone through this, and this is where the pain points were. This is what we have to anticipate.
Right.
That's invaluable to you all. Now, that doesn't mean it might not happen. Maybe we have to tweak things, right? But at least the board of directors knows the risk level, and based on their tolerance, they can make that decision of where to go, right? Because every opportunity could have good risk, or not so good.
Yeah, sure.
You just don't know what that is.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. And it all really boils down to the fact that we all want the very best for SLA, because we all
heart SLA.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.